This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo, a very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon safari. And already we are set out in our position. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. This afternoon I was set out to go to the marsh, look for the injured elephant, but I came across this beautiful elephant, beautiful 3 lionesses, and I'm going to go with them. Remember to talk to us on #CGTN Wild. I'm joined by my fellow guides, David in Nemara, Fred in Nemara, and others in other places in Southern Africa. First things first, we have 3 Mugoro. First thing first, we have 3 Mogoro female lionesses here. And just to remind you, welcome to your digital safari. Well, just to remind you, this is your live safari this afternoon, and these are 3 of the Mogoro lionesses. They have been wandering all over the area. For some reason, it's been very difficult for the last, 3 weeks for them. I don't think they've been having enough to eat, so they've been everywhere. The area they are in today, I've never seen them here. They're just in the middle of other lions' territory, the Olololo Pride and the Marsh Pride, and this is very, very dangerous. Looks like the female on top is always the one that initiates, all the hunts, and she is keenly looking at something farther down. I don't know if she's seen something, but I'm staying with them. Hopefully something will come by or they'll start going on a hunt.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome aboard. We are sitting here with the very sleepy Nkuhuma Pride. Yes, the bushwalk team had them on foot this morning, and BK and I have managed to find them, which is quite impressive considering they are flat cats. My name is Lauren, and I do have BK on camera, and here we do have the Pride. I don't know how many bodies we have yet. I'm going to try and do a count, but we've got some over here. It's not going to be the best views, but I can see some tawny bodies, and it's an extremely hot day. Not as hot as yesterday, but it's 30 degrees Celsius and 86 degrees Fahrenheit. If you look at our Pride, I think we've got Blondie there as well. It could be Mohawk, but I'm pretty sure it's Blondie. They haven't done a very good job at keeping themselves in the shade. I mean, I think there's maybe about 2% shade there. The rest of them are lying out in the sun, which is not ideal when you're covered in hair. They do look skinny. I think these cats are going to get very, very hungry once it cools down. They'll probably need to have a drink first, I would imagine. And then there's lots of buffalo around. Lots of them. Now, BK and I found their tracks last night just before the end of drive, so we did have a good suspicion that the Nkuhumas were around.
Jumbo, and hello everybody, and welcome to another part of the Masai Mara. Today I did not start my sunset drive with elephants, but still with some herbivores that for the last few days they have been showing us signs of lots of love in the air. Now, these are the Maasai giraffes, and that male and female have been together. I think this should be the 4th day, I want to believe, and a very good afternoon, everybody. My name is David, and on me on camera is Bungay, and we've been following these giraffes, not every day like how I have been following Jasiri, and I'm sure you all know Jasiri, and I just bumped into this pair, and I thought, I'll stop for a few minutes and find out why is it becoming so difficult for them to mate. Now, when I first saw them, this was the story. He kept following the female, but nothing was happening. Then Isaac followed the same pair, and I do not think he saw these giraffes mating. Well, I thought today I might be lucky to see them mating because it's normally quite rare to see giraffes mating. Don't be surprised, this may go on for a couple of days, but I can tell she must be in estrus, and once she urinates and drops the pheromones, or those hormones that will always say she's ready, what should happen is the male is definitely certain that she's in season, she's in estrus, and ready to mate. Godfrey, you want to know how long giraffes, or like how many times giraffes should get a baby? Number one, Godfrey, the gestation period of giraffes is about 14 and a half months. So it's over 1 year. So either way, you'd be looking at 2 to 3 years before they can get a second baby. And unlike herbivores, like the wildebeest that we know in a particular time they are rutting, or rather they're mating, in a particular month they'll be dropping babies. Giraffes will mate any time of the year, and they'll have babies any time of the year. They don't have a particular season like the wildebeest. I'm sure my friends have already told you, Lauren and Isaac, that we're coming to you live, and we love questions, we love comments, and as usual, you can do that on Twitter using hashtag WorldEarth, or at FC in the comment section of the YouTube chat channels. The youngsters, kids questions at worldearth.tv. I'll be very patient today, and I'm torn between seeing this giraffes mate, which could be something for me, but my bigger part of the heart is to find out how my friend Jasuri, the baby elephant, she is doing.
Welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. As you can see, we've been lucky enough to come across the same two rhino we saw just the other day in, funny enough, almost the exact same area. You can see how they've actually stopped just on the thicket right there. My name is Kim, and behind the camera we have Craig, and we will be with you for the afternoon. I see they're starting to walk off right into that thicket. They were actually walking at a bit of a pace, and now they seem to have slowed down. I wonder if the mother's just being cautious and stopping and listening before she walks off into a thicket like that. You know, she can't really see about what's in front of her, but so maybe the best thing for her to do is actually stop and listen and smell, just to check if there's anything around. She's gone behind the bush for us now, but I'm hoping she's going to emerge on the left. Don't know if any of our viewers remember that mother and calf that we were with. I think it was yesterday afternoon, and it's quite funny because they do have large home ranges, but yeah. So I see, Cassie, as with anything, animals give you quite a lot of hints as to what sort of mood or behavior they have at the time. You can read it based purely on their body language. Rhinos in particular, they often stomp their feet and they snort. So if they are uncomfortable or a bit nervous, you'll actually see them stomp their feet and snort at you, and that's probably the best way to figure out their mood. You can see these rhino have actually walked off into that thicket now.
All right, all right. Jumbo, and here we are still with our three lionesses. The lioness on top has changed or, turned around and she's looking backwards. This is a tactic that a lion uses, or most predators use, when they sit on top of a mound, and sometimes for minutes, even hours, trying to locate something. Usually they try not to use energy, walking too far or a lot, especially in the heat, like right now. They usually hope something will pass by, which sometimes is the case. And that's why sometimes they are termed as opportunists, because they'll sit and hope and wait for something to come by. Although they look very lazy and sleepy, they are really hungry. And when I found them, they were really moving. Remember, these lionesses have been together since we started seeing them about a month ago. They've been roaming all over. During the time when the wildebeest passed by here, they really gorged themselves, and they did really well, because with that, all that meat, it has kept them going up to date. I'm sure they've been eating, small things like warthogs and Thompson's gazelle to keep them going, but they're always looking for something. Usually this time of day, when it's hot like this, they'll just lie flat, mostly under bushes, waiting for the day to cool down. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. It's beautiful. It's very windy this afternoon. The temperatures are just perfect, but the lionesses haven't found something to go for. You can tell how she's turning and looking, gazing. She's looking for that movement in the long grass. It could be a warthog, or it could be something bigger, even a zebra, because the height of the grass in this area varies from one point to the other, and some places there's also laggas. Laggas is a depression, so you might see only the back of an animal, and it will just start walking from where it is. See how beautiful it is. It is such a beautiful sight. It's so beautiful. Look at that. She's moving a little bit.
Well, the perfect way for our afternoon to begin is with the herd of elephants here in Djuma Private Game Reserve. As you can see, they're on the riverbank, which is exactly where we thought we'd find them. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Theo. I'm really excited to be back in Djuma. It's been a while since I've been here, so looking forward to spending lots and lots of time with these guys, number one, and obviously the leopards that call this place home too, because some of you who do know me will know that leopards are my favorite. And so I was coming down through the Mulawati just because it's been a really, really hot day today, and it's the perfect kind of place for a multitude of different animals, but particularly leopards, to spend their time when it's really hot. There's lots of big trees that create perfect shade, and you can see how these elephants are using that shade at the moment. Each little grouping has kind of found themselves a little shady spot where they're feeding, and it's a beautiful, beautiful family grouping. We've got lots of little babies in this herd. Some of them are very, 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 very small. In fact, there's a tiny little baby that's ahead of us that's come past already. So I'm hoping that we'll get a nice view, and you can see one little one that's busy learning all about how to use its trunk in the how things go for a baby elephant when you've got so many little muscles. You've got to watch mom to be able to learn how to do things. We're going to carry on with these guys, see where they go. I think there's a waterhole nearby, so hopefully they head in that direction.
Isn't it great to have Tristan back? Now, one of our lionesses was smart enough to move into the shade, but the others are enduring the heat. I think they're tired and skinny. I'm not sure if they fed last night. If we just take a look, BK, at Reginald's boys, the two at the front here, it's very sweet. Even BK mentioned it. You can start to see slowly, the hair developing under their chin. Arachnid, you're asking how long do lions live for? Well, it's different for male and females, to be honest. And this is quite, well, across the board for lots of different species, because males tend to be far more aggressive and engage in far too many battles. So normally for a male lion, it's anywhere between 10 to 14 years old. And this is for the wild. I'm not talking about captivity here. And females generally tend to live a little bit longer, 15 plus. I'm sure the maximum age of a lion recorded is somewhere around 18 years. So there's always those exceptions. But generally speaking, male lion, 10 to 14. They don't live as long as the females due to the way of their lifestyle. They have aggressive takeovers. They get ousted. They battle with other male lions. Constantly got testosterone pumping through their veins that causes them to want to fight. And normally, female lions can go up to about 15, 16. The females obviously don't engage in fighting quite the same. But lions, their lifestyle, it's risky. They take down animals like giraffes, buffalo. They make it look easy, but can you imagine trying to take down an animal that is equipped with horns or really powerful legs? So they live a very risky and dangerous life out here in the wild.
All right, beautiful sight here. A bunch of little swifts are circling and flying around the pan. What a beautiful sight to see and to start off the afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kyle, and behind camera is David. Very welcome to all of our viewers. And for this afternoon, just a little plan of action. We are going to be heading down that way. And from the mountains, we're going to be branching out southwest to see what we can unearth for this magical day. If I had the option, I wish I could bottle this feeling and send it out to everybody. It's an absolute stunning day. And then also, we've got birds. But a very warm welcome. You can see the little shell ducks. David can just show us over there. It's going to go from the little swifts. You can see our little shell ducks all still looking good. Mom and Dad present. Yesterday, Mom wasn't in the scene for a little while. But all four little ducklings are looking fabulous, strong and healthy, and day by day they are growing stronger and stronger. Sooner or later, we're going to have to say goodbye to them, unfortunately. But that is just the way of things. So I hope you guys are ready for today. We have got a jam-packed afternoon for you.
Well, yes, there are times that the ducks may have to move, just like we have certain stocks here in East Africa that will migrate and they disappear for months when they go for breeding and then return. Now, I gave these giraffes one more chance to see if they're going to mate, but I would say nothing has happened. And I'll not be surprised if this goes on. Dasheen, good question. And you're asking how long is a giraffe neck? Well, the females could be anything 2 meters or 6 feet, and the males go to 7, 8 feet. Look at that male Dasheen there. See how tall that neck is. And I'm sure Dasheen, you know, giraffes, tallest animals to got in the whole world. And I've just confirmed with Bungay, we were just debating whether this is the same male we saw 4 days ago. And actually it is. And I'll not be surprised, or you won't be surprised if I tell you, I do not think the last 4 days they have mated. Butterfly, it's very unusual, or you're rather asking, do female giraffes fight? It's very unusual, butterfly, to see female giraffes fighting. And always good to hear your name again. I heard your name again this morning. But it's quite unusual to see butterflies fighting. I mean, giraffes, female giraffes fighting butterfly. Males will always do it, and they fight for two major reasons. Number one, for territory, and of course, number two, over the females, and basically making sure the dominant males have all the breeding rights. It's one of many reasons where they fight. And I'm sure you've seen either, in Google, when giraffes fight, especially the males, sometimes the fights are fatal. Sometimes last year, we had 2 male giraffes in the Masai Mara, in the Mara Triangle, that fought, and unfortunately, both of them died at different intervals, but the same day. Now, I do not know the end of this story here, but what I'm thinking, the female here is not very impressed by this male. And we've seen giraffe females, changing their partners and choosing a dominant male. So this might be the end of the story. She's not very happy with this male, and she may go choose another male to partner with or mate with. Maybe, but those are just my thoughts.
David, I remember those giraffes that died from necking. It was quite the sighting, quite a surprise. It was originally thought that he passed away due to a lightning strike, but it was necking. Can you believe that? Now, with regards to lion here in Djuma Game Reserve, things are changing, things are shifting. As far as I know, those 4 boys crossed back north. So here we've got the Nkahuma Pride, and this is very much Nkahuma land. This is their territory. It extends from Djuma across to a little bit into Torchwood, down south, Chitwa, Arathusa, goes all the way down to Londolozi and Mala Mala. The Nkahumas are pushing a little bit further south, and change, I feel, is on the horizon. These 4 new boys are young, they're not territorial yet, and they're looking for somewhere to set up shop. But if there's no vacant spaces, then they're going to have to battle. And I wonder if the Avokas, Blondie, Mohawk and Darkmane are aware of this, and that's possibly why they've been spending a lot of time down south. I don't know that, but I do feel that things are about to shift. And the Nkahuma's priority is going to be to look after the cubs of all ages. If new males come in and they are the ones that are stronger and bigger and better, they'll just have to accept them. They have to do whatever they can to protect their young. So, of course, right now they're still with Blondie, I think. But change may be happening very soon. So we're going to have to watch our lions' movements very, very closely to figure out what's going on.
Stay with the lions, Lauren, and I'm happy you could remember that story of the 2 male giraffes that fought to death. Now, I moved on a little bit and I found some other plains herbivores, and these are the butchers, the zebras. When we started the drive, it was rather hot. It doesn't feel hot per se, but we have one of the most magnificent lights I've had in the afternoon or in the sunset drives here in the Masai Mara. As much as we've been having the short trains, the grass in the Mara doesn't dry completely, but now with the coming of the rains, it has even gotten more nutritious. You can just look at the physical condition of these zebras and you can see how healthy they are, how their hides are toned. Look at the mane, the shape, the belly, wagging the tails, not always for flies. Sometimes is always a sign of satisfaction. You've seen how dogs will wag their tails when they see the owners or when they see the people or when they're happy. Crossing the road slowly. Linda, such pretty tell. Not sure it was you, Linda, who said they had very good striking white stripes the other day. But zebras will always, for me, the black and white colors in them is something I always look again and again, trying to understand of the 2 colors, which one are more colorful or which one strikes me most. If it was you, Linda, who said the white, then today I'm looking at the black stripes. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, we are coming to you live from the Masai Mara of Kenya.
Start talking yet. I am live on your feed.
All right, welcome back to our afternoon show. Welcome back to our afternoon show. My name is Fred, and we're reaching you right from the Mara Triangle. The weather is perfect over here. A bit of sunshine, a little bit of a breeze, and to the far east, there's a kind of a dark gray clouds. So most likely there's gonna be some rain later in the evening. Look at that very beautiful sky. With us here, we got several herds of elephants. Literally about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different herds of elephants. It's so amazing to see such a big number of elephants. And it is very clear that we got a very, very stable population of elephants in the Mara Triangle. At this particular area, this is sort of a marsh, wet area. So elephants tend to congregate around this particular area, mainly because the grass is always lush and very, very easy to pull out. Earlier on in the morning, we had a small herd of elephants rushing or dashing towards the forest. And over time, we've made a clear observation that elephants in the Mara actually move towards the river in the morning and head up toward the escarpment in the evening hours. And that is exactly the behavior we're looking at the moment. Like all the herds that we're seeing around are heading up towards the hill, except this small family here. Apparently, they were heading to the hill, and then we stopped here, and then suddenly they changed direction. But one thing I'm very certain, at some point, they will start turning slowly around to the right, where the escarpment is behind us. Right, Jackson, very good question. And Masai Mara is actually a word from the Maasai people. Maasai is a tribe that has been occupying this area for quite so many years. Mara, on the other hand, is a word in the Maasai dialect that means spotted or dotted. The Mara got its name as a result of this landscape. Right, thank you very much. We're gonna leave these herds of elephants to enjoy this part of the evening as we carry on and look for other things.
Now, talking about spotted, we have been super fortunate in finding a spotted eagle owl. Now, it's a pair of spotted eagle owls here. The other one is very well camouflaged and you can't really see it. It's sitting slightly down and to the left from this individual. But this is a pair that we know really, really well. We've been seeing them for the last 2 years in this particular area. And I was hoping that we'd find them because it's now breeding season. And last year they laid eggs in this particular section. We had a young little owl that we spent a lot of time with and got to know quite well. And so they should be at the point now where they are nesting. From about August is the height of the breeding period for spotted eagle owls. So August, September, October is generally when you see them nesting and laying eggs. And so I suspect that there might be a nest somewhere close by. The interesting thing, though, is that neither of them are actually sitting on eggs at this stage. They're both kind of just on branches, so maybe the courtship process is still going, and they haven't quite laid eggs just yet. But I'm so glad to see them, because the last time I was here, we looked for them and didn't see them anywhere. But I believe there's been a few sightings of them recently, and it was really good that they managed to kind of sit in a place where we can pick them up. Rivki, you're asking about males and females and how do you tell the difference? Well, the answer to that is generally you can't. Most raptors, there are some that will display differences between males and females, but most is very tricky to see. It's more a size thing, with females being larger than males for the most part. In these two right now, the way that they separate it out, it's near impossible to tell which one is male or female. They don't have a distinguishing feature, so there's not something that is out and kind of in the open, so a feather color difference or something like that. So very, very tricky with these guys to know which one is male or female. But so cool to see them. Obviously, owls generally are not seen in the hot periods of the day. But if you know where they like to nest and you find these shady, cool little spots that are well camouflaged for them, you can often find them. So it's a cool place that we have for them. And like I say, to actually spend a bit of time with them is always amazing. The other cool part about it is that we've spent so much time is that they don't fly away. You notice how this owl is sitting quite close to where we are. It's not very, very far at all. I don't want to move too much because I don't want it to fly away, but it's right near where we are and they're quite comfortable with us. Now, Seti, you're asking if these owls have chicks at the same time as eggs. So no, normally what happens with most birds is that the chicks will fledge and they will get to the point where they're able to forage and find food on their own, and they will then leave the area where the adults have had their eggs before. And then the next year, the breeding pair will have their next set, and the juvenile or the adolescent bird from the year before has normally distributed away. And so we don't see the young one from last year. It was called Sebwig. It's no longer, well, I haven't seen it the last sort of 8 months. And so it's probably distributed and has now found an adjacent territory and a partner in order to pair together so it can have its own offspring. So as soon as they are at a point where they have adult feathers, they're leaving, and these guys are free to then raise the next set of chicks. Right, that was awesome. Our Ellies are on the way to the dam, so we're going to follow them. Hopefully they're going to go for a little drink.
That's nice, Beaks. The lions are not on their way anywhere. If you look, BK's given you a wonderful view of that mini mane on Reginald's boys. They're the oldest out of all the cubs, and you can see they're just starting to get a lot of hair under the chin. Just starting to develop a mane. They're still young, but you can just point out that they're boys. If you hadn't done a genital check, then you would know immediately that they're boys. The female cubs will not develop this hair under their chin like males will. Now, I have to say, Reginald's boys are looking particularly skinny. Slightly worrying. Not worrying, just they really, really need a good meal. They're growing. They've suffered from mange. And of course, it's been an okay winter, but winter is harsh on any species, so they really do need a good meal on them. And Reginald's boys were born in May 2019, so they're well over a year now, a year and a quarter, I would say. So they need to get big and strong. And hopefully these boys will form a coalition together. It'll be far more beneficial for them to have brothers in their coalition than strangers. Chelsea, the male lions are known as the Avoca Coalition. 3 of them from a place not too far from here called Avoca. And they were said to be born in 2013. So they're 7 years old, and that really means they're in their prime. They are in their peak year of being a male lion. The age 7 is pivotal for a male lion, and of course they are the dominant males over 2 prides here, which actually 3, possibly 3, the Nkuhuma pride, the Talamati pride, and some of them have been mating with the Torchwood pride. So they're very much the dominant male coalition around. It's only now that I think they may be challenged. The 4 boys that I'm referring to, they might wander off. They may never return, but they might stay here. And if they do stay here, it's the 3 Avoca males that they are going to have to contend with. So it's very interesting to know what's going to pan out.
So warm welcome to all our viewers. We are currently watching looks like a female steenbok that is behind this termite mound. Now, we can't really see her that well. You can only see her ears sticking out. But if we give it some time, there's a good chance that she might move into the open. So it looks like she's just looking around as we speak. But let's give it some time and hopefully be rewarded with something. So I'm Nikki, going to be a ranger for this afternoon, and with me on the camera is Gert. Now, the whole afternoon, we've actually tried to see if we can find some wild dogs. We've been traveling to the western part of the reserve to see if there's any signs of wild dogs. But look there, there's that steenbok has moved into the open. Now, often with steenbok, you don't find a lot of them together. They either would be by themselves, or you'll find a pair together, so a male and a female. But unlike the impala, you won't really see a lot of them together. Now, what I enjoy about a steenbok in general is that often if they defecate, if they go to the toilet, they then take their back feet and they cover up their dung, almost similar to what a cat would do. But notice the vegetation around, and you'll see there's a breeze blowing. And with that breeze blowing, hopefully later on, we can go and have a look and see what the lions might be up to that we saw earlier on today, and if they would start moving. But for now, we'll probably focus on some of the animals that would be moving in the day, like the steenbok, possibly some buffalo, hopefully elephants, and then, as we mentioned, later on, possibly the wild dogs, if there's any signs, and then lions. But those are just some. But for now, look at this steenbok, such a beautiful little antelope. If you notice how she's like constantly kicking up her back leg and then moving her shoulder now and again, very similar to like some of the zebras and wildebeest would often do that as well. So what she's trying to do is just trying to get rid of some of the flies. Maybe just a scratch on the back leg. Look at her, on her back. See how she's using her lower teeth just to comb through the hair. But for now, Gert and I will probably slowly carry on in search of those animals we mentioned earlier. And what she'll probably do from here is venture off and continue feeding late into the afternoon.
So we are sitting here at Leopard Dam, just waiting to see if anything comes down to drink on this very hot day. It's probably the hottest day we've found so far this year, since the end of winter, since the springtime. And we're hoping that maybe some animals will capitalize on this before it gets too cool and dark a bit later. Maybe elephants or something will come and drink.
Sorry about that. I'm sure Pridelands will be right back with us. Now, I know many of you are thinking and worrying about the cubs, and infanticide is something that's really prevalent in male lions, and it's probably what gives male lions such a bad reputation. But through natural selection, it's the way that they've evolved to ensure that they don't waste a single drop of energy on cubs that are not theirs. From a male lion's point of view, what is the point in raising cubs that are not yours? Now, I know to a human perspective it's totally different, but you've got to spend a lot of energy protecting them, playing with them, spending time with the pride, and there's no point if it's not your bloodline. So with cub mortality, they estimate it's about 27% that's attributed to infanticide by incoming males. The males come in, they want the females, they kill all the cubs that they can, and it brings the females back into estrus. So they can then mate with them and then have their own offspring. Everything happens very fast. And compared to leopards, when you talk about lions, males are actually less likely to fight head on compared to lions. Male lions will clash. The noise, the power, the energy is like nothing I've ever felt before when I saw it in the Mara. But male leopards will avoid it because they are solitary. So there's a big difference between the two sort of apex predators here. Male leopards will growl, lateral presentation, but they won't fight like male lions will. And that's to really avoid injury because they are solitary and females are far more difficult to come across. Whereas if you've got a pride of lionesses, your females are there. You have easy access to them all. But if you're a male leopard, you've got to find your females. They're going to be scattered all throughout your territory. And they're elusive in nature as it is. So it's really not as easy as it is for a male lion than it is for a male leopard. And infanticide, believe it or not, is said to be slightly higher in leopards. Yes, slightly higher, because the chances of the cubs being found by a wandering leopard is higher. Males roam, they wander, they patrol their territory, and therefore the chance that they might encounter cubs is said to be higher. So the mortality statistics that we know of are actually quite skewed. And it's really, really different when you're trying to compare males of different species, especially when in the Felidae family.
Well, as you can see, our thoughts and our hopes paid off. Our Ellies have made it towards the waterhole and they are having a really, really good drink. The one thing that I absolutely love about this particular waterhole is because the banks and the sides are very, very, very light-coloured soils. When the Ellies come down and drink, especially when they start to cool themselves off, they spray this light-coloured mud. And the contrast between that light-coloured substrate and their skin always just makes the most unique and interesting patterns. So I absolutely love watching Ellies at this particular waterhole. And you can see the little baby is getting down right towards the edge of the water, still working out how to do things a little bit and is a bit clumsy. That little one is still tiny, so oopsie. It's fallen over. The mud is getting all slippery from where Mom has been spraying water. So not easy to stand up straight when things are a little bit slippery like that. Very, very cute. But like I say, it's still very little, this little baby, so it's got a long way to go until it's completely adept at using its feet and its trunk. And you can see it tries to stay quite close to Mom all the time. And this whole process of staying near to Mom is for two reasons. One is being out in the open like this at a waterhole, there's a lot of dangers that potentially can present themselves, from crocodiles to lions, leopards and wild dogs. All these kinds of things could be around. But the second thing is that on a hot day like today, this little baby is actually using Mom as a basically shade. Those little ears and skin is still very sensitive. Oh, shame, little one. Are you struggling to get up with your wet feet? Oh, no. It's cuteness overload. And so their ears are still very sensitive to the sun. And so Mom creates a little shady barrier, and it's much easier for the little one to have a drink and stay out of the sun and stay much more comfortable when sticking very, very close to Mom and some of the others. But so nice to see them coming down for water. It was almost a guarantee that they were going to head to water at some point, given how hot it's been today. You can tell that there's definitely a change in temperature over the course of the last few weeks in the area. So, Kylie, when elephants and hippos fight, it's very rare, but two, elephants are just that much larger. If a big bull hippo was to take on something like a baby elephant, then you'd probably find that baby elephant wouldn't be strong enough and that hippo could probably kill it. But there's really no use case for that because most of the time baby elephants are with their mothers, and a big adult female elephant is going to outweigh and outpower a bull hippo, and so it would be probably more dangerous for the hippo, and the elephant probably would win in that situation. You can never say with 100% certainty that will be the case, because maybe the hippo bites in a certain direction and one of those long tusks or those teeth that they have goes into the abdomen and hits a vital organ. But generally the size, the tusks of an elephant and the sheer number of elephants, if you're talking about a herd, would typically mean that they would come out on top. And when it's a bull elephant versus a bull hippo, well, bull elephants are just that much larger. I mean, they're almost 3 times the weight and size, and so they're going to be able to inflict a serious amount of damage to a hippo. And that's why hippos will often just back down to elephants. What you find is when elephants come down to waterholes where there's hippos, you'll find that they end up just giving way and the ellies can come and have a little drink. Right, so we're going to carry on. I'm going to go see what else I can find. Hopefully we'll find some of the dogs around the corner in this area.
From hippos giving way to elephants to beautiful birds in the arid savanna. Look at this bird, guys. Moving slowly, obviously to avoid detection. This is a red-crested korhan. Really amazing bird. And something that myself and David were discussing yesterday is that we would really love to show you guys this bird in full display. They perform a display called the rocket display, where the male will be displaying, will be displaying within a loose leak system. And how this bird displays is by flying vertically up for about 20 to 30 meters and rolling to its back and then falling to the floor. It's a remarkable display shown by this bird. Spending a lot of time on the ground, they obviously forage on the ground, they nest on the ground, and then utilizing flight only when evading predators. Really amazing bird.
Birds are always amazing, any sort of bird. And I've always said, unlike the big mammals like elephants and rhinos, that will never, mix you, confuse you, but sometimes will give us small little challenges. Now, I moved in here after I left the zebras because, as I had promised earlier, I'll be trying to locate Jasiri. Jasiri, for those of you who would be joining us now or who doesn't know Jasiri is a baby elephant that we've been following who has an injured foot. And I've checked very carefully in this particular herd, and she is not there. It's not very far from where I had her this morning, but I can tell you, for those who are not with us in the sunrise safari, Jasiri is doing very well. So again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to you live from the Masai Mara of Kenya.
Hopefully that injured Ellie is doing much better. Luckily for us, our Ellies are still, in good shape, and they are all slowly moving, back towards, I think, some shade. I think it's so hot in the sun that they don't really want to be out in the open, and so they're heading for the nearest drainage line, and where they can get a lot of shade and also a lot of food. But there's an individual in this herd that I know quite well. This is a herd of ellies that we see here quite regularly. She's unfortunately just disappearing behind a guarri bush at the moment, but we'll try and see if we can get a view of her now. She's got a really interesting tusk. It grows underneath her trunk and kind of curves back a little bit, and it's not Fang, so some of you might know who Fang is. Fang was an elephant that has this big, long, recurved tusk that grows towards her knee. This is an elephant with a very short tusk that grows under the trunk. But interestingly enough, which I had never noticed before, is that this particular elephant actually has two tusks growing out of the same place. Well, what it looks like is two tusks, but what I think has happened is that tusk split in the upper lip area, and it now appears like two tusks coming out, but it's actually the same one that maybe split early on, and that maybe explains the deformity. So I think, Theo, let's go around and see. Maybe we can just get a view of her, because it's really interesting to see. It's not something that you ever really see out in the wild, and even for me, even though we've seen her so many times, I actually never really noticed that it's two different tusks or pieces of tusk that are coming out. Now, she should be just in front here somewhere, so we'll just go across. I think there's a slender mongoose just bolted across the road. Where is she gone now? Let's see which one it is, because she can be often near the front of the herd. I know she was kind of leading the way into this thicket at one point, so she should be the one that's furthest from us at the moment. Now there she is there. So just going to try and get round to where she is. It's just amazing. It goes to show, we spend a lot of time out here and spend lots of hours with these animals, but sometimes these minute details just go amiss, because you kind of just see something and you think, oh, that's the way it is. But actually, when you take a closer look, there we go. I don't know if we'll be able to see if I don't know if we'll get the tusk. She's kind of the elephant at the back there that is busy feeding. So she's the furthest one from us, and her head is buried in a bush. Oh well, we'll try and carry on with her. Hopefully she'll come out and show us her strange teeth.
This is extremely exciting, everyone. The buffalo have just arrived at Gowrie Dam, which is where the dam cam is. The lions have heard them. Boom, just like that. They're up and they're walking remarkably fast for this time of day. It is almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's hot. There's no breeze. There's no relief from the heat. These lions are hungry. Their hip bones are jutting out. Their rib cage, you see the ribs? They're not starving, but they're hungry. They haven't fed in a few days. They haven't got that big bulbous belly. They're heading straight for the buffalo. They've got a little bit of distance to cover. They've got quarantine to cover for any of you that might be familiar with this area, but they're walking right in the direction. It's unbelievable. The male's lagging behind. I haven't identified him yet. He's either blondie or mohawk, but he was the last to wake up. There's one lioness that's leading them, and they're all following because they're all hungry. This could be a...
Hello. So we are just watching some impala that are taking shelter in the shade. It's very hot today, so they're probably not... just being in the shade for now, feeding on whatever dry material they are able to find at this time of year. Hi, my name is Mike, and you've joined us here at Eco Training Pride and Conservancy. Behind the camera is Odie. And as I said, we're just driving around looking for where any animals might be. Right now, with this extremely warm weather that we're having, most animals will just be in the shade or by the water. So as you can see, they've moved now further into the thickets. It's not so easy to see them, but that just goes to show, like those lions that are with Lauren, when they're hunting, this is what the impalas are relying on. They are relying on their incredibly good camouflage to stay hidden when they stay more or less still in these big groups, especially in this kind of hot weather. These ones are probably not too worried about predators right now, but as you saw before, a good opportunity can come up at any moment, and a predator could get up and start hunting. Look, you can just see movement behind these thickets. So those are the herd of impala amongst the trees there. It's really quite a challenging view, but that just goes to show how hard the lions have to work for their meals.
Hey guys, look at this amazing little bundles of joy. Tswalu cat once again. What a find. Yes, how beautiful is this? I don't want to raise my voice because they've never seen a vehicle before. It's the second time, and they're very shy. They're, they might hide, so I'm gonna lower my voice for a little bit until they get used to me, and then I can speak well. But that's the mom looking at us, and the little guys are just having fun. How beautiful is this? I hope you're enjoying this. Yeah, it's 2 kittens confirmed, and their mom. How beautiful is this? That one is very curious looking at us. This is, the best thing I think I've seen all day. I hope you're enjoying it too. Yeah, these little guys, they could be around 2 months and already very, very playful. Yeah, they have a very good hiding spot. The mom has chose a very perfect place. In case of danger, they can always scamper into that bush, and there are many places to hide. Right now, they're able to climb tree, but there's no tree here. But inside there, they're very good camouflage. There could be also some burrows where they could go in case of serious threat, like a big cat, like a lion or a leopard, because it will kill them. You can tell that the mother is not really worried. She's just watching us. We are far distance enough, and she is not worried at all. How beautiful is this? Well, let's take you to another location, but I'm staying here.
Everyone, this is so incredible. They're getting ready to hunt the buffalo. Still got quite a distance to cover. Every single one of them is up and alert and hungry. They're all skinny. They're heading in this direction. I've never seen the Nkuhumas this alert in so long. And it's been an absolute pleasure, everyone, having you on board, always. We've loved answering your questions and your comments. And it's been great being live with you all across 6 different locations. So BK and I are going to sit very tight here and see how this entire story unfolds.
And this is amazing, guys. This is one of the rarest cats that we see here in the Masai Mara, the Tswalu cat. This is a cat that is solitary, usually, and very territorial. She looks like she's not very comfortable anymore. Half facing away from me, it's an indication that she is not liking it. So I'm gonna go back to sleep speaking softly. Well, this is a cat that you rarely see, and to see a mom and 2 cubbies is just a jackpot. Right now, they're having a carefree life. Most of their time is spent playing, like what you can see. How beautiful is that? Look at how confident they're getting. They're even venturing out more. I'm loving this. I hope you're doing the same. It's just one of those things that we love. You know, when you're living here in the bush, to find this is just hard to explain. The Tswalu cat is a very, is a very solitary cat, usually spending most of its time all alone, only come. Joy, you asked about the kittens. I don't know what you asked, but could you repeat the question again, please? Oh, Joy, you ask, how old are the kittens? I would give them a good 2 months. They are still very dependent on their mom, up to around 6 months. You know, when already they've started eating solids right now, but they're drinking more and more. And the Tswalu cat is very territorial. They'll stick within their area, and usually they hunt small birds, mice. Already you can tell they have an interest with a bird flying above us. Just look at that. I'm not going anywhere, I'm staying here.
From cute serval kittens to cute ground squirrels, specifically a southern ground squirrel, one of the larger ones within this family group. And this individual is just sussing out for seeds, flowers, parts of roots, having a late lunch basically. Very dexterous there on the hands, and using the incisors obviously to break through the material. This animal will form part of a family group related obviously to that of rodents. Its dental structure will categorize it into that group, and he is munching away. So just like our meerkats, these guys also reside underground and are diurnally active. They don't have the ability to be out in the open during night time, as in where obviously daytime is a bit safer for them, so they can keep a watchful eye for any predators. Oh, he's got a big belly. Eating lots. So there'll be other individuals with this chap, somewhere close by. More eyes, the better they're going to spot a predator. Safety in numbers is a very, very important thing in the bush. Getting tucked in. If he moves his tail, you're going to see he's going to have a fluffy, fluffy tail.
They're walking past a car right now. There's an entire stream of them. They're heading straight for the buffalo, but I'm wondering if they're going to go to Galago Pan first to drink, hydrate, to sort of refresh them before the hunt. And what just amazes me really is that we are so far away. The only reason I know there's buffalo there is because it was called in on the radio in Yari at Gowrie Dam. That's how I know. But these cats in front of us can hear them. They can hear them from that distance, and it's far. It's really, really far. We've got vehicles waiting at the dam. I just need to determine which way they're going to go. They can either go past Galago, or they're going to walk right past our camp. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lionesses, ridge-nose boys, and another cub, and Blondie. Blondie's staying right at the back for some reason. I just can't believe how they went from flat cat, lalapanzi as they say here, Michelle, it really depends. It depends on the circumstance. It depends on the lion. It depends on the pride. Because If your lions are in fit, tip-top condition, then they can work the sort of buffalo much easier than if you have a pride that are quite extensively injured. And I think it's normally about four lionesses to take down a buffalo. It's a very large animal. Normally a lioness goes for the underside of the throat, the other one will go for the nose, another one will be on the back, and another lioness will be ready to just take that chance for the next part. Now I think what I'm going to do is just move BK. We need to keep ahead of them here, just to find out where they're going. This is so exciting. Okay, we're going to follow these nkuhumas and see which direction they take.
I hope Lauren is able to keep up with those lions. But you'll notice that we've just found one of my favorite animals, or my absolute favorite animal, the zebra, and also some impala. And the impalas, notice that all of them have horns, so they're probably sticking around with the zebra because of that safety number. So we're not too far away from where we saw those lions this morning. And because of that, it's probably why these different species are grouped together because of that safety numbers. But look at what that zebra is doing now. You'll see the one looked earlier on was resting its chin on top of that baby's back. But the flies are bothering them. You'll see them flicking their tails, flicking their ears, and even looks like they're shivering, and that's just them trying to get rid of the flies. What I do enjoy is look at the stripe pattern on this little zebra at the right. Now, if you look at the stripe pattern around the bum and you compare it against the one on the left, you'll see that the stripes are a lot darker in color, and the shadow stripes in between, whereas the one on the left, it's broken up. And even the legs, the youngster's legs are nearly as tall as that of the adult. Deer watcher, probably if it's just based, I'm trying to see if it might be a young male or young female. And how to tell that is the females have a broad black stripe that runs from the bum all the way through towards, down towards the belly, where the males don't. They have a very narrow black line. So that looks like it might be a young female. So if that's the case, I just want to have it, young male. So because of it being a young male, it will probably be pushed away from the mum in the next few years. So maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, it'll be pushed away by the stallion. And then from there on, either join up with other males until eventually it takes over and starts its own harem from there. But for now, still young, hasn't shown any sign of dominance. And so he will stay with this herd for the next little while. But a very incredible scene to watch. For now, they are slowly moving off. Maybe let us carry on so we can see if there's any signs of those lions from this morning. I'd really love to go spend quite a good time in the afternoon with them and just see if they're going to start moving. Are they still there? Move, especially during the I'm sure they'll be there.
Well, we're still with our Ellies who are moving all around us at the moment. I was hoping the female with the 2 tusks, and I mean 2 tusks sounds normal, but actually 3 tusks, was going to play the game, but she's just walked behind the car, obviously, because you guys were about to come to us, and so that's what happens out here. They have, I'm pretty sure, a radio to the directors and know when they need to go and hide away from the camera. But it doesn't matter, we've got a cuteness overload in the form of a little baby that's come fairly close to where we are. You can see it's doing a little dust bathing, which is quite common to see after they've been at a waterhole. Now, generally, they need to do it while they're still wet, but this particular baby has decided that it's going to do it now after it's dried, so the dust is not sticking to it at all, which is a bit of a fail, but it's behavior that is learnt, and so eventually it will start to understand that it needs moisture on the skin in order for the dust to actually stick. And so for now it's really just making more of a mess than anything else, and probably getting in Mom's way, because Mom is not dust bathing. She's actually trying to dig out roots at this stage, and this little baby keeps sticking its trunk in there and throwing sand all over the place and probably dirtying Mom's food, which I'm sure is not going down too well at all. But cute to watch, because I think the trunk is doing more movement than actually throwing dust at this stage. You need to actually grab hold of the dust, little one. There you go. Mom is saying, out the way, come. I'm trying to actually get food here. This is not playtime. I absolutely love spending time with these guys. Ellies are the greatest animals for when it comes to seeing cute behavior, especially little babies like this. They always just make me so happy. So I feel like it's a great introduction back to the bush when we have little baby Ellies and or elephant herds. It's always one of my favorite ways to kind of acclimate myself back into a wilderness area after being at home for a while. It's kind of early afternoon, elephants, waterhole, eating, feeding. It just makes you feel so much more settled, and as though you haven't left at all. So always enjoy spending time with them. Now, where's the one with the two tusks? Is she still behind us? I don't know where she's gone. I think she's gone quite far now. You can see this one is just sniffing us. Every now and then that trunk just turns slightly in our direction. The wind is now blowing from us to them. And so they'll be picking up a little bit of information as they come past, just checking what we are, what we are made of, and whether or not we're anything to worry about. Particularly the younger ones, they often will kind of just turn their trunks in your direction. And once they see that Mom is not in any way reacting, then they're pretty happy to carry on. Oh, check here. This fork-tailed drongo managed to grab a grub that the elephants dug up when it was digging the root. Look at that. That's very, 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 very cool. And down it goes. All right, we're going to leave these Ellies now and try and see if we can find the dogs. I heard that they were somewhere close by, so hopefully we'll have a bit of success.
All right. Welcome back. This side. Beautiful, beautiful tree. This is a camel thorn, or Vichilia area loba. Very, very beautiful tree. And one way we can recognize it is by these beautiful yellow flowers that are being displayed at this point in time. Obviously, yellow being a very, very attractive note for insects. Of all various kinds, beetles, bees. We were actually, myself and David, were looking at a tiny little beetle that was making its way in the middle. I mean, literally swimming through the pollen. If David gets a little bit closer there's the little beetle. Oh, hello. Hello, guys. I'm on TV. So he was basically swimming through that little yellow flower. And if you take a look closely, you can see the amount of pollen that is being produced. Tremendous amounts. Beautiful colors. That is perfectly put, HH. The colors through the bush and as well as around the world play a vital role in terms of communication. You know, yellow being a very attractive note for insects, bees. Certain insects that pollinate flowers at night, they'll be attracted to white flowers. Obviously, the white would be, visually prominently displayed at night time. And then if you find the flower hasn't got much color, it might have a pungent smell. So using different senses to attract a potential vector to do the business, and all in the good hopes that it's going to help you along the lines. But these trees are just buzzing with life right now. I mean, we've even seen flies, wasps, you name it.
Another one, yeah.
Cool, there we go, another one. The type of climate that we are experiencing here at Tswalu would be, I would say, almost subtropical. where we're sitting at the moment. So we receive summer rainfalls, and then within that summer rainfall period, we're experiencing very high temperatures, 45 degrees Celsius, if not a little bit more through certain times. And then coming to the winter, we're experiencing mild to cold winter, especially at the nights, we are dropping below zero. So a very varied climate, and as well as very harsh climate and area to be in. So you think about the tolerance and also the sheer drive that these animals have to survive in such a harsh and challenging environment. I hope that answered your question there, Shanae. So looking at the leaves that are in picture now, another way in which we can actually recognize the tree is by these leaves, which are broken up into many little leaflets. It's what we refer to as bipinnately compound. So looking at the leaf structure, we can identify trees very easily.
I'm still at my spot with the beautiful Tswalu mother and her 2 kittens. This is a cat that has got a large territory of up to 10 kilometers or more. They overlap each other's territory, so you could find more in one specific area. It's a small cat weighing around 10 to 15 kilograms. And they give birth to up to around 3-4. Usually they are drinking up to the age of about 2 months if they're eating lots of solids. They're weaned at around 6, and they're fully independent at around 1 year. This is a cat equipped with huge ears, as you can see. Those are for listening to the slightest movement or noise in the grass. A grasshopper, a mouse, a bird, and they can jump or leap up to 7 feet, pouncing on whatever they found, hitting it with their forelegs, and using their jaws, they crush it to kill it, and then either bring it back to their kittens or eat it right there. It is very common but rarely seen. Because of competition, they're very secretive and very shy. Usually they run away. This one is around 90 feet from where we are, and that's why we can see it. Avril, thank you for your comment. You said you've never seen, Tswalu kittens before. Well, Avril, there's always the first time, and I'm very happy and glad that we can show you your first kittens. Keep watching. It's a jackpot for me also. It's one of those things you go out every day, but to see a Tswalu with kittens is just 1 in a million chance. I'm so, chuffed that you're enjoying this. These guys, you can tell they have the ability already to jump quite high. Look at that. That is what they use to usually pounce on their prey. Even mom is getting into play now. That is really, really nice. You rarely get to see her getting involved because she's always on the watch just in case something appears. She's getting more comfortable with us being here. Even the kittens, look at that. She's doing a little bit of yoga now. Okay, I'm going to keep watching these Tswalus and tell you what is happening as we take you to one of our other locations.
I'm not getting any comms. Sorry, please go again. Last station, please go again with that. Oh dear, we've lost.
Yes, they are still playing. As you can tell, Mom is getting very, very involved now. Yeah, she wasn't doing this earlier, and I'm very happy to see this. She was watching us, she was listening, but it looks like she has relaxed, which I like. The distance between us and her is very comfortable, and it's always nice to give them that so that, you know, they show their real behaviors. You can tell the little guys are getting more and more confident, and they're playing. This is so cool. Yeah. I don't know, you will ask, but it's one of those things that you don't expect. Minion, they can give birth to up to 4, but I've never seen 4. I have seen 3. They can give birth up to 4. They have 4 mammary glands, so they give birth to 4. I've only seen 3. And they have a gestation period of about less than 90 days. They usually find a very secluded spot, like where they are right now, give birth. The little guys are usually blind, and they just feel the mother when she comes. They drink very much like our domestic cat. They'll open their eyes within 2 weeks. Then they continue drinking. Solids are welcome, you know, just at about over 1 month. And then from there on, they'll be mixing milk and meat. And as I said, they're weaned at 1 year. It's one of those cats that weans its young ones very, very early. I'm staying here. Let's see what's happening in one of our other locations.
Everyone is very tense here. This is Kalahari Dam. This is the buffalo. There are hundreds of them. It's a massive mega herd. I think it could be the same herd that I had this morning. Now in front of me, there's a water buck who's alert. This water buck was snoozing quite happily a few minutes ago. I think the water buck knows something's up, something's wrong. And BK can see a lioness. I cannot see anything. But the lions are just coming. We've positioned ourselves to give them plenty of room. Really, really don't want to interrupt them in any way, shape or form. They're there somewhere. They've probably gone low. I don't quite know how they're going to do this, but there's enough buffalo to cause mass panic. There's youngsters, I'm afraid. And once panic ensues, these lions are going to use that to their advantage. But they need to remain hidden for as long as possible. They're coming, they're coming. They're going to end up streaming right in front of our car, and somehow they're going to have to make it to the dam unseen. I've never seen, well, it's been a long time, shall I say, since I've seen the nkuhumas up and this hungry. This is where they're going to end up. Buffalo. The smell, the sound, that's what they've picked up on, and because they're so hungry, their tummies are driving them here. Now they're right outside our camp, all of them. It's actually really lovely to see the nkuhumas in their domain, in the core area of the sort of prime part of their territory. And these buffaloes are none the wiser. They have no idea there's a pride of lions looking at them right now. No idea. I just don't quite know how they're going to do this. I can see them all, BK. It looks like they're running.
Patients, these Ngalas were escaped by the staff from Weatella.
Oh dear. Okay, that wasn't a positive update. We may have to reposition. From now, the lions have got a fright, I believe, so they're not going in the original direction that they were going in. Buffalo are not going anywhere. What we need to do, I'm afraid, we're going to have to go past the village. Not ideal to keep up with these lions because they're maybe going to take another direction and I don't want to lose them.
as you can see, we've had some success with the dogs as well. Seems to be all happening on Djuma this afternoon. Pretty much things everywhere as we go. But it's the Pungwe pack that is just lying down for now. As we know with wild dogs, it's a bit of a patience game in the afternoons. As the afternoon starts to cool down and it starts to get a little bit the sun gets lower in the sky, so then the dogs become far more active and we start to see them then moving around and potentially looking for food. The adults, some of them do have a little bit of a belly, so it seems as though they must have eaten something this morning, which means maybe it will be a little bit of a later start to the afternoon, and so hopefully they will get up at some point. The one thing with dogs is that before the sun sets, they will at least try and go look for water. So with Twin Dams being very, very close to where we are, as well as Chitwa Dam not too far away, I'm hoping that they'll head to one of them and we'll be able to see them going for a drink and then potentially hunting. And the thing with wild dogs is it's always worth being patient with them. They're an animal that is obviously a lot more active than most of the other predators in terms of their movements, but because of how much they do move, that gives you a chance to see incredible behavior, one, and two, they often are able to find other predators for you. So it's quite common to see wild dogs chasing leopards up a tree. You often have hyenas trailing them. We know that there are lions on Djuma, and so with the dogs being around, they could hear the dogs and also come in. So there's a lot that can happen around the dogs, and why worth being patient with them. So, Jackie, yes, there is a hierarchy within the dog pack. It's not as strict as everyone thinks it is, though. So, during breeding season, there is an alpha male and an alpha female. But that alpha male and alpha female pair does not always stay the same from year to year. A lot of people, or if you read, people will write that wild dogs will basically form this alpha pairing, and that alpha pairing stays together, and that's not actually the case. There will be still some sort of competition for the alpha pairing as the years go on, and younger, fitter males might chase the other male away. You might get a situation where new females arrive to the pack and chase them out, and the movement between the packs is far more than people even realize. There's certain dogs that have been within the Kruger's ecosystem that have been a part of 7 different packs in their lifespan. So they move around quite a lot, and they will be challenging. But when they actually give birth to the little ones, then yes, there is an alpha pair, and then you'll find even sometimes a secondary female, a beta female. Don't you just love the legs of that one dog that's up in the air at the moment? It almost looks like it was dead for a second there with the stiff legs. But they will form the sort of, like I say, the alpha, and then the rest will sort of fall in behind there. If they are not part of the alpha or the beta female pair, then generally they're just a pack member. There's not too much hierarchy that then takes place amongst those members of the pack. You'll find that it's really only the two that are breeding, and it's sometimes, like I say, a secondary female that will breed as well. Right, we're going to be patient. Hopefully these guys will get up and go like the Nkuhumas are doing, so we'll just be patient and wait and see what happens.
So unlike the wild dogs that you've just been seeing, which have a very close family bond, this giraffe is a bit of a nomad. They very much have only temporary associations with other giraffes, sometimes longer term, but never really in a family or group structure, never herds per se. So this female giraffe is just feeding on some of these leaves off what looks like maybe a jackalberry. I can't really see from this distance. Let's have a look. Or maybe it's a buffalo thorn, actually. I'm not sure, but she's feeding on them down in this drainage line that actually connects to Ndlovu Dam. And I'm hoping that this giraffe, plus the other couple that are around, and a herd of impala, will all head to the dam soon to have a bit of a drink as the sun is starting to descend and it's getting a bit cooler, which will be quite nice. But you can see it must be a thorny tree, actually, because you can see how she's holding her ears very far back from those branches. Got to be careful, even though she's got all the weapons, or rather all the tools to deal with these thorns. Thick lips, lots of saliva, big eyelashes to protect her eyes, and a really long snout. She still has to be quite careful because it can be quite painful. Trust me, Odie and I both know what it's like to get caught in a buffalo thorn, which is what I think this is. It's not so easy to tell from this distance. Would not be pleasant at all. There's another female giraffe approaching slowly from the left, still a bit of a ways out, but as I said, this is a temporary association. So these two giraffes that are here might be together because there's water and food around, but as food becomes more abundant, as rain starts falling, you will start to see giraffes moving in different types of groups. The only time I've ever seen them associating over a longer period is when there are females with youngsters. Sometimes they'll have almost a creche system going on where a number of females with young calves will have them all in one place so that they can easily look after them. And then eventually they'll move off in their own separate ways. And they're not territorial at all as well, so they'll never fight each other, these two females, over territory. They'll be quite happy to just coexist. Rosalind, that's a good question. How fast can giraffes run? I think they can run pretty fast. They always look like they're moving in slow motion because of these incredibly long legs that OD is showing us there. So they've got big feet, very long legs, so they don't have to move them very quickly to cover ground at a great pace. I would say they can probably go 50 kilometers per hour, although I'll be able to check that up for you and get back that information. I'd say about 50 kilometers per hour, maybe up to 60 if they're going at a flat sprint. Certainly nowhere near as fast as something like an impala at full run, or a zebra maybe, or a wildebeest, which are surprisingly fast. But I'll have to double check that. Much faster than you think when you see them moving. They gallop like a horse when they're moving at full pace. Nothing is bothering them at the moment, and nothing really worries giraffe too much apart from large prides of lions. There was reports of 6 lionesses moving onto the northern part of Pride Lands earlier today. So we did go and have a look there earlier. We couldn't find them, but it is very hot, so they might be hiding in the thickets somewhere, hoping they'll come out. But 6 lionesses, that's a pretty big group, pretty powerful. These giraffes would have to be quite wary of those. But leopard's not a problem. That single lioness that we haven't seen for a while, Lagatha, she wouldn't really be phasing them too much, especially in a nice open area like this where they can see fairly well anything coming. And there's a nice strong breeze as well, so they'll be able to smell any predators on the wind as well. They've got incredible sense of hearing and sense of smell. And eyesight's also pretty good. McConnell, giraffes use their ossicones, also just known as horns, on the top of their head. It's a more appropriate name as ossicones. They use them for fighting, especially the males. Females don't fight over them. McConnell, so these females, you'll see the tops of their ossicones are covered in fur, and they're quite slender. They're not very thick and robust. I think maybe just there for a little bit of defense of their youngsters against predators, but I don't really think I've ever seen a giraffe using its head to defend itself. It seems counterproductive to put your head in a dangerous way. But the males certainly would swing their long necks, powerful necks with their heavily fortified bone structures on their heads to smash into a rival male's flanks and their rumps and their other necks and really try and hurt them. Quite a lot. Oh, that giraffe's reaching down and feeding. That was very interesting. The giraffe on the left, she actually reached right down and started feeding at something on the ground. Sometimes they pick up bits of bone to chew on the bones for calcium, or there might be minerals that are missing. With the lack of green vegetation, you'll often find giraffes and other animals eating soil and other materials to try and make up minerals that they might be missing from their diet that they would usually get from the green leaves. Ian, giraffes have massive stomachs. They're actually ruminants, so they've got 4 stomach chambers, and they'll feed when the feeding is good. Let's say like now, it's not too hot, they're in a bit of a shade, so they're feeding, their belly looks really massive because it's got 4 chambers, and when it gets very hot, you'll find the giraffes will go and move into the shade, and they'll just start ruminating, which is where they regurgitate or use muscle contractions to push up food that they haven't fully digested, and then they'll chew it again to get more of the nutrients out of it. So it's quite interesting. But their belly is quite big. I couldn't give you a proper litre value, to be honest, but big enough. They'll probably go into the water hole just now and you'll get to see just how much water they put into that big belly.
Well, the kitties are getting much more relaxed and much more playful. Look at that cute face. How cute is that? Of all cats, there is one thing that it's clear with the Tswalu cat. It's got a very short tail, and also in comparison with their body, it's got some of the longest legs. And I think that is an adaptation to allow it to leap, long jumps to get its food. There is a little corner to the left there where they've been, going, and I think it's a safe place where they, they play towards and then back into their den over there. I can say now that they're used to me, and they're much more relaxed than the first day I saw them about 2 days ago. This is so cute. I hope you are enjoying it. This is live. It's coming from the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle, and the weather is wonderful here. It's so cool. It's just cooling down. We started with around 28 degrees Celsius of temperature. Now it has dropped a little bit. Linda, Jumbo, you want to know if tsavos can climb trees? They usually don't, but under threat, when chased by lion, by hyena, by cheetah, by leopard, I have seen them climb trees, but they usually don't climb without anything forcing them. Linda, they spend a lot of their time on the ground. They hide in bushes. You can tell the mom is listening to the sound of the cocky francolin that flew off because it's one of its food. It looks like she had a very good meal, early today, because to be spending this much time with the little ones means, they have eaten and she's got some milk. Look at the little one looking at me. The first day I came and spoke, they would scurry back into their small hiding place, but you can tell now they're very relaxed. Chike Jumbo, you want to know what tsavos eat? They eat insects, grasshoppers, small reptiles, frogs and lizards, birds, mice, even scrub hairs they would eat. You see the size of the tail I was telling you? It's very short, very long, strong legs. Looks like it's time for mom to tuck them in. I don't know if that or she's just making sure nobody has walked from the back door and is in there when the little ones go in. How smart is that? How caring is that? Look at that. She's checking, she's looking around. That is what she's doing. That's amazing. Motherly bond, motherly love. She wants to make sure that her little ones grow up. Yeah. When hunting, they usually stalk very much like any other cat, pinpointing whatever they are going for using their ears and using their hind strong legs. They leap. It's amazing, they leap. Just land on their prey. Usually they stun it with their forelegs and crush it with their jaws. Dragon Lady Jumbo, you want to find out if these kitties can be domesticated. Yes, I've never seen one myself with somebody, but I have seen documentaries and read. But one thing is for sure with these kitties and cats and tsavo, they never get really domesticated. They still possess their wildness, because if harassed, they will bite, they will hiss, and even jump and scratch. So they can, but I hope they are left out in the wild where they should be. Look at that. Mom is really taking care of them. She's making sure there's nobody in there. And if there is, I think she'll turn back and lead them somewhere else. As I stay here to see what is happening here, let's see what's happening in some other location.
Our Nkuhumas are stationary. They got a little bit of a fright, but don't worry. They are still very much in the vicinity. We're right outside our camp, so we've sent a message to everybody. Andrew's having a relaxing afternoon off, so we've made sure that everybody knows they are right outside our camp. And they will still be aware where the buffalo are. I know where they are because of the radio, but these lions will absolutely know where they are. And it's maybe to their advantage that they're also going to wait until it's cooler. It's a very gentle breeze passing through now. And, look at his little mane, everyone. This is Ridge Nose Boy. And you can see that there's a bit of a mane developing there. Now it's very, very early on. Really, he's far too young to be developing a proper mane. But you can see he's just extra hairy under his chin, going all the way down his chest. There's still a large possibility that we could be getting a hunt tonight, everyone. Lions generally hunt once the sun starts to go down and it gets cooler. I think the Nkuhumas were a little bit ambitious earlier, so they're just taking their time. It's fantastic to see the pride like this. Michael, you were asking how many lionesses are in the Nkuhuma Pride. Now that we no longer have Nana was the oldest one. She had a very severe injury on her hip. We have Purple Eye. Very iconic Purple Eye. We have Amber Eyes. We have Ridge Nose. We have Chela, who was recently named last year after Chela Pan. We have Nick-eared. We have Pale Eyes. We have Tattered-eared. And we have one that we call the youngest lioness, so that is 8 lionesses in the Nkuhuma Pride. And currently 9 cubs from different females. And of course, recently we had 2 different females mating with the Avoca Coalition. So there's a high chance that they could be pregnant and that new litters could be on their way within the next few months. A lion's gestation period is 3.5 months, the same as a leopard. Really, really short gestation period. And that's a worrying element if the new boys were to come in. That's slightly worrying if there's 2 lionesses that are pregnant or if they've given birth by then. It's not the best views, but they're really not in the most ideal location. But I really, really believe they're going to get up again shortly and head straight towards those buffalo. They're hungry. I can't see Blondie. He seemed to just fall off and disappear. He'll be watching them. He'll know exactly where his ladies are, but I can't see him. The Nkuhuma Pride have done very well. 9 thriving cubs. Unfortunately, there were more, but sadly there was some losses, and they've survived mange, and although they're hungry, they are all looking absolutely fantastic.
Double-banded courser. Really nice bird to see. It's not something that we see just every day here on Tswalu. So a sighting like this, especially where we can get a little glimpse of it on the video, is amazing. So hence the name double-banded courser. When it gets into a clear view, that David will show you exactly where the name comes from. You'll see 2 bands running across the chest. Yes, look at that. This is an insectivorous bird, so taking a wide range of insects, especially termites, ants, and as well as beetles. And it's mainly found in the semi-arid to arid shrublands. Very beautiful. Quick movements, you can see those little legs operating at quite a high speed. Almost makes me think of a little road runner. And look at that, once the bird stops, look how it blends in with the vegetation. If you take a look at the back there, you'll see all these little spots and blotches on the dorsal section of the bird, and that just allows the bird to blend in within its environment. Something that we refer to as cryptically camouflaged or cryptically colored, just allowing the bird to evade predation. Wow, what a nice sighting. That was super. You can see how ecstatic I am. I don't see it every day, and for me that's a major thumbs up. We just saw it as we were driving. We saw it take off, and she reversed, and we were very lucky to have got a sighting. Sorry, can you go with the question again there, please? Did you hear that, David?
Tracy said it's stunning.
Absolutely, Tracy. Beautiful, beautiful bird. And for me, I'm on a high now. Stunning, 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 stunning. Sorry. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, very stunning bird and very nice to see.
It's a very special bird to see in that area, so well done, Carl. As you can see, we are hanging out and doing babysitting duty at the moment with the puppies. The adults all having a nap, and there's a pile of puppies at this stage that are, well, being naughty. Some of them are sleeping, but as you can see, it's typical with siblings, is they can't stop biting one another, so there's tails that are pulled and ears that are pulled, and generally a bit of kind of nonsense going on. And actually my favorite of the puppy is the one that just laid down right in front. It's the one that's got lots and lots of character. It's got the one tail that's been, it's missing the fur kind of midway along the tail, and then it's got a little tip to it. And funny enough, I was wondering about this tail, and I chatted to the guy that does the research on the dogs, and he forwarded it to a couple other people, and we were discussing what could cause it, because obviously in a pack environment, you can see how close they lie together. Mange would always be a consideration. But funny enough, we all came to the same conclusion. We think it's actually from the amount of playing that's been taking place with these puppies. We think that they keep biting each other's tails so much that they're actually stripping the fur from this particular dog. And if you look at the rest of them, none of them are actually showing any signs of mange, and so that seems a far more plausible idea than mange itself. So I'm pretty sure it's just from the nonsense that they give it. Maybe it's the runt of the litter, and so it's been bullied a lot more than the rest of them, and that's why its tail is not white and fluffy like the other 10 of them in the pack itself. But it's so cool that they've been around as much as they have been. It's been really, really good. Obviously, dogs are something that, particularly in this part of the Sabi Sands, we don't typically get to spend huge amounts of time with. They're normally kind of in and out, and very, very, very seldom do they actually spend any time denning on Djuma itself. So it's been a really nice kind of change to have the dogs almost daily over the course of the last few weeks. It certainly has provided some really good viewing. So, Angie, as I was alluding to earlier with the alphas, is that everyone always kind of assumes that the alpha dogs stay the same throughout their lifespan, and that's not the case. And so I suppose the inbreeding situation and how it's avoided is that there's going to be movement of the dogs as an adult dog. A young dog becomes an adult, so there's a natural instinct in order to want to mate. And so what they've noticed is that within the distribution of these wild dogs is it's very dependent on what's around them. So as a pack, let's say that we take this pack and we say that this pack is predominantly female, and the pack around them or the packs around them are predominantly males, what you're going to find is there's going to be distributions of those females out towards those male packs, and they potentially will then form new packs. And so that should theoretically be different genetics that are involved, and then vice versa. So if it was more females on the outside of the male of a pack that was more males, so males would distribute out, and you'll get a situation then where you should theoretically, like I say, be having dogs from different lineages joining up and mating. And if you take this pack, for example, this pack is made up of a number of different individuals from different packs. So there's members from the Ngala pack, the Orphan pack, that have come in and kind of joined in, and they formed now what's known as the Pungwe pack. And so there's a lot of movement within these dogs, and so generally what you're finding is there's a lot more genetic diversity than one would actually imagine, because of the sort of movement out of the pack area. And when we say they move out, sometimes these dogs can cover huge distance. There's dogs that have been seen in the southern reaches of the Kruger National Park that are then found towards the sort of central and northern regions, and that's like a 200, 300 kilometer movement that they've done. So distribution can be over a very, very large space, and therefore that should theoretically stop inbreeding. It's the same as what happens with leopard males, male lions, these kinds of things. They're sort of leaving of their maternal territory and going into other spaces should theoretically stop inbreeding. But obviously, with the way that they move around, it can happen. But generally with inbreeding, as long as it's not multi-generational inbreeding, it typically doesn't affect wild animals all that much. So they reckon that it's about 3 to 4 generations have to be inbred before you'll start to see negative impacts within that particular grouping of animals. So the chances of that is pretty slim. So dancing trout, wild dog numbers is an interesting thing. So what happens with them is a lot of the time the numbers of dogs are looked at but have taken with a pinch of salt, because there's a huge variance between denning season and normal kind of times before they actually breed. And the reason for that is, as you can quite clearly see, this pack of dogs has had 12 puppies to start with. Okay, they've still got 11 now, and I'm sure as these guys go into next year and to become adults on their own, they might lose some more. And so what happens is the numbers spike heavily through denning season and then drop down slowly towards the next denning season. And so numbers are one thing, and generally across Africa the numbers are declining, but what they look at mostly is the number of packs. And so what they want to see is positive growth numbers in packs, rather than in numbers of dogs specifically. And so the Kruger system, for example, is fairly stable. You're finding that the pack numbers are staying pretty similar throughout the years. The other interesting thing is that dogs are hugely affected by weather conditions. So years of drought, typically better years for wild dogs, and you can understand why. When they're hunting, they're animals that run at speed and they chase in different directions, and that often means that they end up running into lions, leopard, hyenas, and that's obviously very dangerous for them. So in periods of drought, much easier to see around them. The bush kind of gets less thick and they can kind of see what they're doing and avoid predation a lot more. And then in periods of rain years, when the grass gets very long, they struggle a little bit more. So it's dependent on that, as well as, like I say, the kind of number of packs more than actually the number of dogs specifically. But within the Kruger system, it's fairly stable at the moment. There's not too much of a decrease. In fact, over the last few years, there's been a bit of an increase with the drought years that we've had. Interestingly enough, I mean, a pack like this we would consider a big pack, but actually the biggest pack in the Kruger at the moment, currently after this denning season, is now 41 wild dogs in one pack. So the packs can get big. You can see that there's a few of them popping their heads up. The male is starting to scent mark, and so hopefully they are going to wake up and get going, and we're going to be patient and sit with them.
If you've ever wondered what piping hot lion tracks look like, they're so fresh that steam is coming off them. This is what they look like, because we're sitting here with the lions right now. Now, they're very interested in everything, all the sounds, all the smells, but they're not moving just yet. We're now at 5 p.m. here in South Africa, and it is a lot cooler. I'm feeling the relief for sure. They're definitely going to hunt something. It's just such a shame that they changed their plan earlier. But I counted 4 cubs, 2 originals boys, 5 females, and Blondie. So the entire pride are not together. But that's normal. Prides split. They reunite. And Tristan was just talking about inbreeding. Exactly, lions are the same. The males are ousted for that reason. Although it's hard to watch a young male be ousted from his pride that he grew up in, surrounded by the females, the reason they are ousted is mainly for inbreeding on a biological level. Now, on other levels, of course, the boys will become too aggressive. They undergo massive change when they become a male lion, an older male lion, sorry. They're already a male lion. And it's dangerous for the pride, especially younger cubs. But the sort of fundamental biological reason is inbreeding, to prevent inbreeding, send the males away to to set up a coalition, start a new coalition, and therefore they can then take over different prides in a different area and avoid any sort of the effects of inbreeding. Now, sorry, we're not alone in this sighting. There's other vehicles around us. It's very exciting to have the Nkuhumas in the prime spot in Djuma that is quarantine. Someone's got to take the lead. Someone's got to take initiative and start, and then the others will follow. Because every single one of them is hungry. In some species, females can be the ones that disperse. I was talking about that this morning in the house mouse, but it's normally the males. Jaden, that is an almost impossible question to answer. It depends what lions you're talking about, what area you're in, the season, and just the day-to-day business. Normally, lions don't really start to become awake until sunset. But as you saw earlier, something caught the Nkuhuma's attention and up they went. But let's just speak on a very general level. Generally, lions do sleep throughout the day. And it sort of gives them this reputation of being very lazy. But actually, they walk all night. And a coalition of males can actually walk up to 20 kilometers per night on a territorial patrol. And not only are they walking, but they're calling and scent marking. So that expends a lot of energy, probably hunting too. So by the time morning comes around, they're just absolutely exhausted. Just the same as us. By the time 9 p.m. comes around, I can't even stay awake for 5 minutes of Netflix because we are diurnal. And lions are nocturnal, generally speaking. But I spent a lot of time up in the Masai Mara with David and Isaac and team. And basically a lot of the prides up there hunt during the day, like the Awino pride are famous for it. Even the Sausage Tree pride, they prefer to hunt during the day. The landscape is completely different, the topography compared to the Mara and here. So there's so many factors that you have to consider before answering that question. But generally speaking, during the day, they do tend to be a little bit on the lazy side and they become awake at night time. It's cooler. They have nocturnal vision prepared for hunting at night time. It's a lot easier. They're going to save a lot of energy if they hunt a buffalo at night when it's cool than if they do hunt the same buffalo during the day. They can also rely on the cover of darkness, being a bit more stealthier. The buffalo won't see them coming. But clearly the Nkuhumas are hungry, and I think they're going to attempt to hunt before darkness falls, but we'll have to wait and see. Sir, 50, good to hear from you. You're asking about the role of males in the hunt. And basically there's a sort of urban myth going around that it's the females that do all of the hunting and the male lions just come in and steal. And yes, they do that sometimes, but male lions do hunt. They will hunt. They have to hunt. Coalitions can be on their own for a very long time. They don't have any females to rely on. So that myth is sort of long been debunked. It's not just the females that do most of the hunting. Although if the females do decide to tackle large prey, like a buffalo or even a giraffe. Let's go with a giraffe. The males will assist. And even in the Masai Mara, I did watch many of the males start, initiate, lead, take the hunt when they're hungry. Our avokas here, let's just say, tend to be a little bit reliant on the females, maybe a little bit too reliant, and that's because they're with a pride. If you have a male coalition on their own, they are completely adept hunters when they're on their own, more than capable, and one male will take the lead, Sir 50, absolutely. They have to hunt, they have to feed. So if the coalition are on territorial patrol and they've left the prides, then they must hunt. Whether it's a scrub hare, whether it's an impala, whether it's a buffalo, they will have to hunt. But of course, they are certainly not adverse to monopolising the kills that are made by the females. Yes, that does happen. It happens a lot. The females make the kill and the males just come in and steal it. Yes, that does happen. But our avokas are very split. So what's happened here is Dark Mane is with the Talamatis up in Buffelshoek. They hunted a buffalo last night, I believe. We've got Blondie here with this portion of the Nkuhumas, and clearly the rest of the Nkuhumas are somewhere else. I don't know where. South or west, I would guess, and I would imagine Mohawk is with them. So the three in the Avoca Coalition have split, and they are all sort of guarding different prides and different females, which is really fascinating. But they will all reunite. They'll come together again. Especially Blondie and Mohawk. Dark Mane is the outsider. He never really tends to leave Buffelshoek. So we're going to sit tight and hopefully our sleepy cats get up soon.
Right, welcome back to the Mara Triangle. And currently we are at the central part of the triangle itself. And it's been a very beautiful afternoon. It's quite sunny, and at some point there's a bit of breeze and some dense cloud, which at the moment temperatures are cooling down. And we've got a harem or a herd of impalas right with us here. And this is quite a big one. They're probably about between 20 and 30 females. This is a breeding herd, and there's a topi staying together with them to the left, and that's actually the rear part of the herd. You see a male impala. That male is the dominant male in charge of all the females. He claims all the mating right, and this is quite a very demanding task, and most of the time dominant male impalas can only sustain these roles for 3 weeks at most. After 3 weeks, they're weak, they're losing weight, mainly because of the action involved in putting together the females and also ensuring that always staying on the lookout in case there would be any bachelors' herds around. This male will not tolerate any other males to come near this side. Right, Roslyn, very good question. In East Africa, we do not have a specific rutting seasons for impalas. Our impalas are bred all year round. So if you look keenly into this herd, you realize there are very young calves of slightly different ages. The main predator for the impalas, or actually the main danger comes from a leopard. You know, impalas kind of the right size, and it is
Welcome to Anbion Pinder Private Game Reserve. We have been on an epic search for some cheetah this morning, but I have found no tracks or signs of them. But we did happen to come across this herd of zebra behind us. My name is Kim, and behind the camera we have Craig, and we will be your guides for this afternoon. So just before we came to this herd, you were looking at a pride of lion a little bit while ago. Oh no, I think you can still see there's a very slight claw mark that you can see on the side there. Maybe as the zebra moves, you can see the ones that we were looking at on its bum. Of course, as you want to talk about something, the animal, you gotta love it. I think we might get a view of that now. Beautiful zebra. Stunning when you can see the different stripes. If you compare them, no two zebra stripes are the same. What's also interesting is if you have a look at these ones, have a look at the ones walking away. The one that we were looking at initially did seem a little bit more round to me. I wonder if she is actually pregnant. Now, zebras don't have a distinct breeding season either, just like those impala that you were talking about in East Africa without a distinctive rutting season. Our zebra do not have a distinctive breeding season. They'll have calves any time of the year. So we can expect those any time of the year. So there is a possibility that perhaps that one with a very round belly was possibly pregnant. It can be quite difficult to tell with zebra. I'm sure you've all noticed how they can be incredibly round, and that is because they are hindgut fermenters, and their digestive system actually creates a lot of methane. So that's why you see them very round. In fact, I don't know if those of you who have been on safari and lucky enough to see a herd of zebra, if you've ever seen them startled, you might actually notice that as they run away, you can hear them farting, and it is that release of methane as they get startled. I wonder if we're going to get a better view if we carry on a little bit further. It's been quite an interesting morning. We've been trying to look for those two cheetah that we saw earlier today, and we thought the best way to try and find them to go back to last position and find their tracks, but we haven't managed to find any tracks. So right now we're just going based on typical cheetah behavior. It's starting to get a bit dark, so we think they might be going into an open area. Let's hope we find them.
Sorry, the lion has gone really fast towards the forest there. She's following about 6 zebras. You see her there. So I'm gonna change location and follow her. I don't know if she will succeed, but she's quite far from where I am. It's happened very, very fast. They was just lying down. These are the Mogoro 3 lionesses. Then all of a sudden the zebras appeared out of the blue, but for some reason they sped off, and so the lionesses are heading towards them. There is one right in front of me, but I'm gonna go follow them, follow the one that pursued the zebra and see if she's gonna get something. There is one right in front of the vehicle.
So sometimes when the larger predators do go missing, like what's just happened with Isaac and his lions, you can use other animals to help you relocate them. This is a black-backed jackal. In fact, we've got 2 black-backed jackals here sitting on this little bit of an open area. You can see the second one just over there. So she's sitting on an impala dung midden. So I wonder if it's trying to mask its scent. They'll often do that. But these types of animals, jackals and other small predators, will often alarm call or follow larger predators in order to capitalize on any food that might be left over, to scavenge, so to speak, from whatever the larger carnivores don't want to eat or can't eat. Sometimes the meat around the knuckles and joints and things. We don't get to see black-backed jackals too often here on Pride Lands. I've only seen them about a handful of times. This might be one of the first times I've ever got them on film myself. So OD, thank you so much for that. But as you can see, they're both resting right now. facing in opposite directions with their ears behind, like listening to whatever behind their head. They've got very sharp eyes and a very good sense of smell. And the wind is blowing directly into this one's face. And so it's got its ears focused behind itself because it will be able to see and smell anything coming from in front of it, but it wants to be able to hopefully hear anything approaching from behind. Now, there's also a squirrel alarm calling. It might well be because of these jackals, but as I said, sometimes they indicate the presence of other predators. So there might well be a leopard which was moving through this area, or even a lion. Maybe Lagatha, the single lioness, is maybe moving back through the area. We haven't seen tracks or signs, but it's always interesting to watch these small mammals. So these black-backed jackals are very territorial, and so there'll be a dominant pair, most likely male and female, the ones that we're seeing right now, who'll have a den somewhere in this area, and they'll raise a group of pups, and then the pups will disperse eventually. Sometimes you'll see them in small families. Sometimes the yearling pups will stay with them for a season just to learn the ropes, also because it's a bit safer to be in numbers. But eventually it'll just be these two again. It's good to see them relaxing here out in the open. Now, it's been quite a warm day, but there's a wind that's just picked up, which does have a little bit of a chill. So these jackals are probably just getting the last of the warm light before what could be a chilly and rather windy night. It's a good night for the predators, actually. There's no cloud cover, but it's a good opportunity with this wind for predators to hunt, which is actually what we're going to do once we leave these jackals. If they stay put right over here, we're going to head back up into the northern part of Pride Lands and see if we can't find more tracks and signs of those 6 lionesses which were reported to have crossed into our boundary from the north. Hopefully they're still around, just resting in a drainage line. But now it's getting cooler. As you can see, these jackals are out, which makes me think that probably some of the other predators will be out as well. I actually wonder why the squirrel would be alarm calling, because jackal's not really a threat. Ian, I'm not sure that the ears help with tracking per se. Maybe on a very quiet night, some of the things that jackals eat might be rodents or even things like invertebrates, beetles and scorpions. And so they might be able to hear those little creatures scuffling around in the dirt or in the undergrowth. And they can certainly hear very well, so they might even be able to hear, hyenas in the distance squabbling over food or lions making a kill. And then they would run over using the sound to pinpoint the location. So I suppose, in a way, the ears do help with tracking, certainly. But their main sense will be their sense of smell. They will mostly use their sense of smell to, follow up on, let's say, a carcass, or if there's something rotting in the bushes. Or if they can't see something, they can certainly smell it. I mean, I've seen many times before the elephants, which also have an incredible sense of smell, can smell things underground and also probably hear the water flowing in pipes underground. And we've seen it with jackals digging in certain points. They probably can't smell something, but they could probably hear like moles or something just moving under the ground. Very interesting question.
Well, we have lost our lions. Not really. They're somewhere in the trees behind the elephant, and we can't see them. So we just decided to share what we have at the moment, and it's this beautiful female elephant. She's only about 30 feet from the vehicle, very calm, and she's got some amazing tusks. Look at those. Yeah, she's from a family, I think, that grows beautiful and long tusks. So she's got a nice set. She's eating a very coarse kind of grass called wiregrass. And nobody else really likes this grass apart from the elephant. Look how, that trunk is used to wrap around the grass. It's just amazing. It's an amazing tool. How they are able to pick up even a single twine of grass. It's amazing. I'm staying here hoping that the lioness will pass this way because the zebras have moved on. Hopefully they will do that while we take you and show you something different.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize we were live. They've got the entire pride, all the cubs walking in front of the car, and they're looking up here. Oh, hello. They're looking into the distance. The two boys are here, Blondie and Mohawk. Look at them, watching their ladies and their offspring running across quarantine. Got another female just about to run in front of the car. It's all very exciting. I think we might have to follow if they're running, everyone. Let's follow Beaks. I don't quite know where they're running to, but I knew it wasn't going to be long. Oh, look at them, they're all running into the sunset. He's going to give you a mobile shot. Look at that. Now they're moving in a westerly direction. I really don't know where they are planning on going. They're either going to go to Gallagher Pan or they're going to go right on out. Let me just stop here. Now we are directly behind our camp right now. Actually, no, we're in front of it. I'm just going to give them enough space to see what they get up to. But you can see that sun is starting to get a little bit lower now. The boys are watching from afar. To answer Sir 50's question, they probably are planning on stealing. I hope they don't cross out. Be nice to have the Nkuhumas here. Be nice to see them eating in full bellies again. They're waiting on everybody else. I don't think they're waiting on the males, but I think they're waiting on the other females. I don't know where they are, but I imagine that they're going to stream in from all sides. I think they're going to come behind the car shortly. Look at the cubs nuzzling here. Yep, we've got the rest of the pride coming up behind. We'll let you know when we can see them. They're going to walk right past the car. This is such a wonderful sighting. You know, you don't see the Nkuhumas for long enough and then they come back and it just feels so wonderful to see them. But they are on Vuatela Access, which is our main road. It's the main road in Djuma, and I just hope they don't head on out. Larry, it really depends on what they've fed on. If they eat an impala right now, it's not enough for every single mouth in this pride, including the cubs. They would only get a mere morsel of impala and it wouldn't feed them. Whereas if they take down a buffalo, and they all feed on the buffalo, that will sustain them for 2 to 3 days. And it also depends on how many are in the pride sorry, I'm losing concentration because the lines are just about to go past the car. I'm going to stay silent. BK, I'll show you them in just a moment. BK, they're right there. I'm just going to check behind me to see if there's any others. Yep, there's another one coming. Wow. She's decided to lie down in front of my car. They're not scared of the vehicle. She's coming to the side, BK. What a moment. I'm just going to do another check to make sure no one's lagging behind. I think that's everybody. Sorry, Larry, I couldn't concentrate on your question. It really depends on what they fed on. They can sustain themselves on large kills. Giraffes can last a week. A large bull giraffe. But an impala, they would have to feed again that night. They would maybe have to take down 2 or 3 impalas before everyone's tummy was satisfied. Please don't leave, Juma, guys. And this is exactly what we look for in the morning. You see all their track marks right in front of the vehicle. As soon as we come out of camp, this is exactly what we look for. The little paw prints. You see them all? And immediately we know who's walked past and where they're going. They might cross into Simbambili or Arathusa. They were definitely interested in those buffalo, but sadly it went wrong. I'll just wait till this last lioness gets up and then we'll reposition.
How incredible is this? We managed to find one of the males and looks like only one female. The rest is lying down on a termite mound, which is pretty far off from here. But hopefully what they'll do is they'll eventually join up together. But this is incredible. Just look at the light on these lines, especially this male. Just look at the size of his head. You can see he's still panting. But he is a considerable amount bigger than that lioness. I wonder with these two being all by themselves, because you can see they're still panting, so it means they probably, while it was warm, they were moving into this area, and so because of that or maybe it's because their bellies are still full, so they're just panting, trying to cool themselves down, and also facing into the wind. But I wonder if this female isn't in estrus at the moment, and that's why this male is lying down so close to her, because the rest of the pride is just on a termite mound further on, which we'll try and reposition a bit later to try and see them. But what an incredible sighting with this golden hour. And just look at the touch of white on the side of his ear. It's just so beautiful. You can see the flies are bugging this lioness. Look how she's just flicking her tail, lifting up her head, trying to get to that fly. Looks like she might have spotted something. It could be there's some trees in the behind us, and it might be something that have moved through the trees, and that's what she's looking at. Or she might just be scanning the area to see if there's any potential meal, even though she's already had something to eat. Because they're so opportunistic, you never know if she might be keen to look out for possibly another meal. But their bellies are still quite full. Central, I'm not too sure which pride this might be. from what I think, possibly it could be a pride known as the Mbiri pride, but I'm not too sure. This is the first time I personally have seen these lions. And it's hard to say because I'm sure the Mbiri pride probably be a bigger pride than the one here. But what I do know, though, is that this is a group of 5 lionesses with 1 male, and they've moved in from our southeastern boundary. They've crossed over, so I don't know too much about them or where they're from. But if I look at that male, he is quite a decent-sized male. Like if you look at the mane, from the ears all the way to the top of the head, around the neck, even the sides of his head, I'm sure this male is at least close to 9 years, if not older. So it is probably a well-established tribe, a pride that is moving through this area. So I don't know, maybe some of our viewers might have an idea what they might be. But it's just amazing, especially for me, seeing a different pride on the reserve.
Right. Thank you very much. And we got like 40 minutes before our show ends. It's very interesting. It's never too late or not too early here in the African bush. Here we got a small herd of impalas, and they're keenly looking for a good reason. 2 big male lions. Over the past few days, we haven't seen any such big or prime male lions here in the triangle. Quite often we've been seeing lots of females and more sub-adult males. So super excited to see these 2 male lions. And ordinarily, 2 full-grown male lions are likely brothers who are born and brought up in the same litter in one pride. At the moment, they're sleeping on a termite mound. You know, the sun is almost going down, and I'm pretty certain it's cold enough, and soon they'll be starting to move around looking for potential dinner. To be honest with you, our viewers, these 2 male lions look very new to me. It's like I've never seen, I do not identify them, and most likely they just arrived into this particular territory. This area is called Maji and Ndege, and in this particular area we've been seeing 1 lioness with about 1 year and a half calves. And this morning we saw her on this exact area, and she was somehow nervous and kept walking on the road looking around. The reason could be she probably picked some scent from these 2 male lions, and she wanted to ensure that she stays away and keep her daughters safe from this particular 2 male lions. Very beautiful. The herd of impalas seems to have moved on a little bit, although, they know the lions are here, they've seen them, and it will be quite very careless of them if they ignore the presence of these lions and just go on browsing or eating. The lions themselves are not interested in the imp. Very sighting to end our evening show probably. We still have a short distance to drive, so we never know what's going to be waiting on the other way.
So they're sleeping. So just while the lions are taking a little catnap, we thought we would stop and look at this beautiful male giraffe that's hiding from us. And in the grand scheme of things, myself and David thought that we would just show you the scale that we're working with here at Tswalu. I mean, that giraffe is tiny. Really incredible. And the backdrop, obviously the beautiful set Koroneberg mountain range, a very prominent feature within Tswalu. And its beautiful curves really do make for spectacular photography, especially now through this low light period coming to late afternoon. But a very, very, very beautiful landscape that we have here. The beautiful bands that you can see inside there, that's evident that these mountains were created from compression. So, quartzite being put down and then being squashed together to change the structure of the material and actually physically change it to quartzite. That is the rock type that we're dealing with here, and the most prominent rock type that we have on Tswalu, especially through these mountain ranges. And these mountains create a very, very important habitat for multiple species across the board, from zebra to birds to small mammals, you name it. And it is just a spectacular thing to be viewing. So we thought that we'd just show you a quick snippet on the scale we're dealing with, and also the beautiful landscape that we are meandering through right now. We are going to continue. We are heading north. We've been scouting around the southern section to see if we can find anything through these nice thickets. It's been a little bit quiet, but nonetheless it's been really beautiful.
And just
this male, and I wonder if there's a chance they might mate. Here we go. So what's interesting, though, is that he got up first to start moving towards where the rest of the pride is, and then she made her way right in front of him, and basically brushed up against him, and that's when we saw her falling down onto her back now. So I wonder if she's an estrus. This morning we didn't see any mating, but we don't know. Maybe there is a good chance that these two are mating at the moment. The only way to find out, if we do spend some time here and see what happens, see how he moves ahead of her. Now let's see if she's going to move in front of him again. And what I am going to do, though, is just try and see if we can reposition, because they are going to be moving behind a termite mound, which we won't be able to see. So let me just try and reposition from here. Well, what we'll try and do is just loop around and see if we can get another glimpse. But how exciting. It's just amazing being able to follow lions, especially also with the sun setting behind us.
Yes, I have come back to the other side where the lions originally were, and they have relaxed. Actually, the zebras caught them by surprise. They were fast asleep, and the zebras just appeared, and so they went too far before the girls decided that it was time to go for the zebra. And right now, they are watching the elephants that are about 100 meters. There's a few young ones, and I hope they don't dare go there, because those female elephants are very, very protective. I think that is what they're eyeing. There's some little ones there. James will be doing his magic. See, like that one is a good size for 3 lionesses, but because of the noise and the aunties being around, it is very difficult for them to bring it down. But actually right now, there is a lot going on their mind. They are thinking, oh, that could be a nice meal for about 1 week, but it's too much of waste of time and thinking. I don't think they have a chance, but you can tell they have moved from where they were, and the main reason is they haven't eaten for at least maybe 4 days, and a good 2 weeks they haven't had a good meal that can sustain them and them, to just lay there for a day or two without thinking for a meal. So they really need a meal either tonight or tomorrow. Otherwise, they will get too weak and they will start going for small animals, which is usually the case. They need to get something. That female farthest there, she is really pinned onto that young elephant. And I'm hoping she doesn't even think about it, because the elephant mama won't even allow her. These are 3 of the Mogoro females. Do you see the young one there? Yeah. That is what they think they would like. I think it's almost 2 years. You can tell the tusks haven't started growing. It's really staying to older cousin, very close. That Jennifer, you ask, can a female elephant be a tusker? Historically, we know tuskers as big, big bulls with beautiful, huge tusks were called tuskers. But in general, all of them have got tusks. I don't know what you mean, but a tusker is a really big bull elephant. Nowadays, there are very few, but every now and then we do see them. Yeah, back to our lions. What are they doing? They're fast asleep. You can't tell they're lions there, but they're fast asleep. The only thing you can see is tails. When driving in these plains, be very careful. If you ever come, you can drive past a lion, and that the one you've been looking for hours. When they lie down like that and you don't know what you're looking for, you can just drive past them. The lions here have got territories about 10 square kilometers each, and this pride particularly has got one of the best areas. We call it the Mogoro Pride, and their territory stretches quite a long way. I'm going to leave these lionesses, and for now, maybe let's see what else we can show you.
So that male and female just joined up with the rest of the pride. And there was a herd of impala earlier on the ridge in the same direction that male and female are staring in at the moment. But just look at the scene. So the sun is setting. It's like a whole new chapter of a book has just opened up. See how that one lion is rolling on her back. Now, other than that patch of white, like it's so hard to spot them in the grass, especially this time of the year, because of how it looks like and how well they blend in. But I'm just amazed at that male size, just in comparison to that female as well. So we just had one of the other rangers that was helping us to track these lions like the whole afternoon. They also came in and just to have a nice view. Stefan, so normally what happens with male lions is they'll stick with their mothers at least until the age of 2.5 years. Now, we have seen it here at Ambionangala, where it could be longer, where it could be almost up to 4 years. But then what will happen is after 2.5 years on the normal, in a normal situation, is then that male would probably be pushed away by the dominant male within that pride. And then he will become nomadic until, or join up with his brother, but both of them will be nomadic. And all they want to try and do is just survive until they get to the age of 6.5, maybe 7 years. Because then what happens is they become really dominant and strong and skillful in order to take over possibly their own pride, or even fight a male for another pride. But so normally that occurs from anywhere from around about 2 2.5 years in a normal pride dynamics, but it can change. Like sometimes the males can be pushed out just after a year. Sometimes even with us now, we are seeing a young male with the Birmingham pride that's already 4 years old, past 4 years, and the two dominant males still tolerate him within the pride, which is very unusual for a lion at that age. But I'll try and see if Gert and I can possibly get another position to view them from. We might just try and reposition on another angle to see the other members of the pride.
So we have a few members of a pride of lions. 6 lionesses we've managed to find. They were just lying flat down in the drainage line. They've come out now that it's getting a little bit cooler, and they're starting to be a bit active. It's going to be a bit of head rubbing here, maybe a little bit of socializing before they head out. Lots of yawning happening as well. 3 of the lions have already gotten up and are heading north, which is unfortunately towards our boundary. But there are still 2 left who are just watching. It looks like they might all be on the move to go and do a bit of hunting. They're looking quite slender, as you can see. So I do think that they're going to try and be successful on a hunt tonight, using the wind maybe to their advantage. So more of them are coming over here to the right there, Odie. You can see very slender but very well muscled. Look at the powerful shoulders. Oh, she's going to sneeze. You can get it out, don't worry. Looks like there's a bit of a scent there. Maybe one of the other lions urinated. Remember, they get a lot of information when they smell the urine from each other. See what she's doing? That's a phlegm and grimace. That's very unusual. You don't often see lionesses doing that. I guess you see it sometimes, but not too often. So that's quite interesting. So there's some information there from another lion scent marking, which is her she's finding interesting. That's really cool. We often teach the students about this, about how visual communication can be expressed, and this is one of the ways we can figure out that's not actually, it's a visual sign, but it's actually olfactory communication or smell. As she moves down into the drainage line, she's going to be heading up north, following the rest of the lionesses, I'm sure by now, that have crossed our boundary or about to cross our boundary. Very quick, not hanging about now that the evening is here. They just popped in maybe to drink here at the waterhole at the HQ, what we call the HQ. Now they're heading up north towards some big open clearings, not so far from where the cheetahs rested yesterday or a few days ago in the morning that we had, actually crossing the path of those cheetahs. So I wonder if those cheetahs moved out the area because lions moving in visual very shortly. We're going to have to try and reposition it one last view. Hopefully we'll get at least one more view of these lions as they disappear. Their evenings. Probably going to be hearing some alarm calls of animals that notice them moving. Because now is the time, hey? You can see some other vehicles. That's our boundary right there where that lioness is walking. Some other vehicles just there behind her. Oh, they've actually stopped just on the edge of that boundary. Maybe we'll try and see if we can get around there. I wonder. Let's try and see what we can do here. I think it's going to be right in front of us, so we're going to try and reposition and see what we can.
Just as predicted, everyone, the Nkuhumas are very shortly, probably in about 2 minutes' time, going to cross out my least favourite words in my job. And it looks like they're headed to Arathusa rather than Simbambili, which means we can't follow. So these are going to be the sort of last visuals we're going to get of our gorgeous Nkuhuma pride. And they're hungry, so I imagine they're going to hunt something tonight. The 2 Avoca males are still on quarantine. They're being very lazy. But this is our pride. And it's sad, they've just decided to cross west. Excuse the power lines. Not very cinematic, but there's not much we can do about it. Yeah, they're crossing over. I can see them. Crossing Triple M and over they go. Djuma's almost as far east as the Nkuhumas go these days. They've got the Torchwood Pride to the east, they've got the Talamatis to the north, and the Nkuhumas are really spending most of their time in Djuma, Simbambili, Arathusa, and further south. Okay, I should pick up speed. I think that's BK telling me you need to pick up speed. I'm driving very slowly, letting the car pull itself. Or just get the last few visuals of them crossing out. But all in all, it's been really lovely to spend some time with them. Oh no, okay, they're not crossing over just yet. And it's amazing how they know where to go. They're probably using that internal GPS, that sort of really enhanced sense of smell to navigate their landscape. So everyone, goodbye to the Nkuhumas for now.
Well, here I am, have left my lionesses and elephants, and this is the sight I have right now of the sun going to sleep under these beautiful African skies. Look at that. It looks like a volcano just cooling off, but is the sun saying goodbye to us? Remember, this is a very dangerous time over here because all the nocturnal animals are coming out, and the Duno animals are even wary. They are on high alert now because most of them are on the menu. It's almost 6:45 for us here, and this is sunset time. It's almost dark where I am, and in another few minutes it will be totally pitch dark. What a wonderful sight I have here. I hope you're enjoying yourself and enjoying this African sunset.
So this cow and her calf are slowly becoming the stars of our show here at And Beyond Phinda. It seems to me in the last few drives, no matter what I've been looking for, I keep coming across this beautiful young male calf and his mother. And he always seems to be giving us a little bit of a show. You can see how he's paying quite a bit of attention. Both his and his mother's ears are moving around. He wasn't quite sure what we were at first. They walked around a bush and suddenly spotted us, so they're a bit nervous. Rifki, in terms of the number of calves that a female rhino can have, it's a pretty good question. Now, they reach sexual maturity at about 6 years old, and then each calf can stay with them for about a maximum of 4 years. Can vary a little bit, and their gestation's about 1.5 years, about 18 months. So you're looking about 5.5 years per calf from the age of 6, and they live to about 40 or 50 years old. So I'm just trying to do some quick maths in my head. Let's say we've got 45 years. I'd say they can have maybe up to 9. It seems a bit high for me. I think there would be a bit more of a gap in between each calf. But I would say there could be a maximum of about 9, just working on that maths. Now, that's also assuming between each calf, the mothers will also take a while to go back into estrus. But that's about the maximum number of calves that they should be able to have. You can see that calf's behavior has changed a little bit. Now, when we first found it, it was staying very close to the rear end of the mother. Rhinos tend to gather sort of in a circle with their rear ends facing each other and their horns facing in opposite directions when they do feel threatened. And that's because their defense is in the front and their most vulnerable part is the rear end. So that's why they'll keep their rear ends together and sort of face in opposite directions. You can see how the behavior has changed though. This calf's decided we're not anything it has to worry about, and it started feeding a little bit, and it's just slowly walking around. Now, just as they were saying in the Mara, it is becoming a more dangerous time now. It's starting to get a bit dark, and you will see animals start going into the more open areas and start settling down for the evening. Now, these two rhino are most likely going to find some sort of bush or something, and then they're going to lie down very closely together and spend the night like that. Such a beautiful, peaceful evening here. You can hear so many birds calling all around. It's always a magical time, the end of the day and the start of the day, because early in the morning you hear the bush wake up around you, you hear all the bird calls, and just the same at night you're starting to hear different birds calling. We even heard a hyena calling not so long ago. So all those calls are starting to happen. We're hearing a bit of cicadas and crickets in the background. It's a really picturesque scene that's going on right here. I love that young animals are so curious. We were talking earlier about how long it takes them to be weaned. And this one is still very much reliant on its mother's milk. You know, the last time we were talking about it, it's about 6 months old. So it is mainly using that milk as a source of nutrition, but it's still feeding. As you can see, it will be feeding a little bit as well. But because it gets most of its nutrition from milk, it is incredibly curious. It can spend a lot of time exploring areas, picking up scents, just learning about its surroundings. That is why it gives us so much more attention than the mother. Anushka, in terms of twins, there have been recorded cases where rhino have twins, but it is very, very unlikely. Now you can see how big that rhino calf is at 6 months. It's quite a big animal for rhino or baby for rhino to have, and it's a lot of effort from the mother's part. So it's a very, very rare thing. In fact, I've never seen twins from a rhino before. I have read that there has been cases of twins, though. But mostly, like this, you'll see a mother with one calf. When you have seen mothers with two calves, you often see a significant size difference, and most of the time that isn't her calf. The larger one isn't her calf. It's what we call a satellite calf that's just joined the mother and her own calf.
Well, we've got a giraffe walking straight into the sunset, and obviously with the setting sun, just the silhouette was so beautiful. This young bull has just found a tree now to nibble on. A little starter before he gets onto dinner. Obviously giraffe feed throughout the day, and they eat quite a lot. Being pure browsers, they've got to eat throughout the day to accumulate the required material that they need to keep these big bodies fueled. He's busy browsing on a blackthorn. He's actually eating the flowers there, guys, that we were looking at yesterday, the little white pom-pom-like flowers. Beautiful, but just a really beautiful setting at the moment. Thought we would share that with everybody. I wonder if they must be tasty. Do you think they taste sweet? Obviously, there'll be some nutritional benefit in it. But I wonder if it tastes different. It must. Beautiful, look at that. So he's actually using muscles now to get to the...
Just notice how these lions have all like rolled down and are flat at the moment. Even that big male that's lying down at the back, he looks so much smaller now that he is flat. And remember early on, so with this morning's game drive, we saw those big bellies, and it looks already like they've digested quite a bit of that food. So who knows, maybe in the next day or so, they'll probably be looking out for an opportunity to hunt again. Because remember, as we mentioned, like lions are opportunistic. And even if they had to make a kill right now and something had to present itself later on, they'll also kill it, drag it into a spot where maybe under the shade of a tree, and they'll slowly feed off of it for the next couple of days. And what I'm thinking from here is I just wanted to take something out of my bag, see if I can find this just to show some of our viewers, but I'm going to ask Gert just to assist me here. But what I want to do is, so I have this little thing in order to test the wind. So if I take it and I shake it and I just squirt a little bit out of it, you might see the direction of the wind. So I'm going to try and do it, okay, without spilling too much powder on the vehicle. But if I do it like this, just see the direction of the wind. Can you see when I did that, the direction was blowing down in this down this way here. So most likely these lions are going to be heading down in this area, and what they'll do is, if they carry on down here, there is some water, but also it's a nice opportunity. If they do see something, there would be wind down from whatever it might be. They might just be resting here for the next little while, and then from there on, that's more or less the direction they're going to be moving. From where we saw them this morning until now, they have already started moving here, but eventually decided to come and lie down. And that's one thing about a lion, is they have so much patience, and they also they need to conserve as much energy as they can, so they can sleep here maybe for the next hour, maybe 2 hours before they eventually move on. Ian, I'm not too sure. What I can imagine is almost similar to that of cats. I mean, a domestic cat, that if it does lose that claw, it might still, it depends on how it tore it off, it might still be able to grow it back. But I think it mainly determines of how severely it's been torn off. But however, what I'll try and do is I'll try and see if I can read up more about it. There's a few things that I definitely want to read up. I still need to read up about that hippo and if they chew bones, but also I'll try and find out about that claw on a lion, especially the dew claw. If it tears off, would it be able to grow back? And I also, while we are having a look at these lions, I want to remind all our viewers about tomorrow morning that we'll be starting with these game drives at least 30 minutes earlier than normal. So we normally start at 6:30 in South African time, but tomorrow we'll start at 6. Vusi, I haven't in the wild, no. I have seen lions in a very good condition. But normally, because of how they have to move, especially in areas where the prey might be moving or when some of the water sources dry up and they have to move bigger distances in order to get to water, you'll find that the lions are in a pretty good condition. Look at this male here. He's just turned around, and often if they have a full belly, they'll lie down with their legs open. But not really. I mean, other than if a lion would be in a zoo or somewhere else, it's very unlikely for them to be like overweight, and if you had to put it in those terms, because still, remember, these lions need to be capable of hunting. So whenever they do hunt, they need to move, as we mentioned, far distances. They need to be agile, they need to be quick, or else they won't be able to hunt, and therefore they'll probably start losing condition. But it's such a calm evening now. Like, we can hear some of the birds slowly quieting down. You can hear the distant call of nightjars. And, of course, these lions are just dead to the world at the moment.
We managed to catch up with the males, the two Avoca boys. They're far behind the females. They've came a different route as well, and they just look sleepy. We've got Blondie and Mohawk here. Dark mane is in the north. They're clearly taking a rest, hoping the ladies catch something, and then they'll skip across Triple M and feast, I imagine. Okay. There's a vehicle behind us, but we're just going to spend the next few seconds admiring these males. Boys, do you realise you may have a challenge ahead of you? I do wonder. But everyone, as always, it's a pleasure to have you all on the back of our vehicles through all the rough terrain and all the bumps. And thank you for all your comments and questions. And from BK and I today, we want to say a big thank you, good night, and we shall see you tomorrow.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, Jumbo. A very good morning. Welcome to this morning digital safari. We are currently in the Masai Mara, as usual. And this morning, please talk to us on #WildEarth. You can live stream and you can watch us on YouTube, live stream. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. Already I'm set out here at the river to share with you what is happening